MapMaker is to help you get better quality of maps for you. So let's get started. Okay, to follow any updates, please follow the hashtag of G Saudi Arabia on Google+. Okay, so the main purpose and the main vision of Google is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible. And by the same token, we're trying to do the same for geographic information. We want to make all the geographic information in the world available for people to use to make their lives easier every day. So what are the top 3 problems that we have and everybody has with their maps? The first problem is the quality of maps. If you go to different parts of the world, you'll see that the quality of maps highly depends on where you are. And this is also true for Google Maps, right? Google Maps in the more rural areas in different parts of the world is not as good as, say, downtown New York, right? Where you have all the information, you have all the restaurants, the streets are properly mapped, and I can't see. So a bit of technical problems this morning. So that's the first thing. The second thing is having your maps up to date. This is a very, very, very difficult problem. So most big companies, when they run their maps, the way they get their data is by licensing data, right? So you have different providers in different places around the world. So you have big companies like TeleAtlas, Orion, AMD. I don't know if you're familiar with them. So what we do usually is we go license data from these guys, and then we load it on our maps, right? So you can see this in the copyright notice in a certain part of the world where we license this data. So the problem is by the time you license the data, you get the data ingested in your systems, and by doing like all the quality checks, all these agreements, everything, and then you launch it, it's already probably like a year old, right? And that's the freshest that we will ever have. Okay, that is a huge problem. The third thing is local data. By local data, we mean mostly things like restaurants, parks, places that we go to. So these are commonly referred to as POIs, places of interest. Okay. So these are the top 3 problems that we face, and I believe everybody else faces. So what we are trying to do is make the geographic information process more democratized, and we're trying to make it more available to people so that they can instantly edit the maps they know, right? So what we have done is we've come up with a set of UGC, which stands for user-generated content applications. So here's an example of the logos of some of the initiatives we have, like Places, SketchUp, and so on. So we're going to go over a few of them today. So what is MapMaker? Okay, so I'm going to now explain the theory behind it, and then Sachin is going to show you how you can actually use it to do everything we're going to talk about today. So first of all, it's a separate website. The way you access it is by going to mapmaker.google.com. It has a very, very, very active community in many places around the world. Actually, in fact, in some countries around the world, we don't have any data providers anymore. The community is so active that they're updating their own maps, and we're not doing anything. Romania, Manila and Romania are places where we're not doing anything. So what happens is that when you update data in MapMaker, it is stored in the main backends that most of our products use. So Google Maps, Google Earth, navigation on Android in the countries where it's launched, and different applications that use these maps will get that instantly. So MapMaker is currently launched in almost 190 countries, and Saudi Arabia was launched very, very recently, about less than a year ago, we're very happy with the number of updates, edits, and the quality of the maps that we're getting. Of course, there's still a long way to go, but it's looking pretty good. Okay, so this is so here you can see all the countries around the world where MapMaker is available. Okay. So what do we get when we have better and more comprehensive maps, okay, in the country, right? So one thing again, okay, is that we cannot touch every village, every remote area. This is impossible. It doesn't make commercial sense for data providers to go and map a village which 10 people will look at, right? But if you live in that village, it does make a lot of sense for you to map your own village, right? That's one. The second thing is the freshness, right? As I told you before, it takes almost a year to do these, or whatever, half a year to a year, to do these deals and have the data up to date. But when you edit on MapMaker, sometimes it's like within hours, or even less than a day. So let's say there's a new bridge where you live, or there's a new road, or there's a new building, you can add it in less than a day, it's online. So this is a much better experience for people who are using maps and for you, rather than having to wait for a year when a new building or a new road is there. And when you have more local information, it does make a lot of sense that you get more tourists and more people know about the places. And it's actually, many people invest in having their places mapped properly, and they have a lot of information around it. And I mean, you can imagine how tourists will find about these places. You know, they're walking around, looking on maps, or using Foursquare, or using whatever application they like to use. And this is a way to get exposure for businesses. Okay, so what are the things that you can do with MapMaker? MapMaker is not only about roads. Okay, that's a small part of what you can edit with MapMaker. So you can, as I said, you can add places of interest. Places of interest can be anywhere from businesses to even benches or toilets or public toilets. It could be anything that you want to add. You can edit and update details of things. You can map trails, let's say biking trails. In many places in the States and Europe, people put trails for bikes. So so you can follow it and find a nice biking route. You can even edit driving directions, which I think is extremely useful. I've used that multiple times. So let's say you drive, in the Arab world, we all know our ways around the main highway. Everybody knows their way through somebody's garage, and so you can still map that, and next time you will get these recommendations. So you drive the first time. If you don't like the way it took you through a longer way, it showed you a way which is probably not allowed or anything. You can edit all of this information, and I think if you drive for a week or two and keep editing these driving directions, it gets a lot better in the city we're in. Then you can also see what other people are mapping. So let's say in Jeddah, you can see what other things people are doing. And if there's something which you think is wrong, or somebody's doing a mistake, or somebody's deleting a road or changing the name, you can say that, well, this is incorrect, and your opinion would be highly regarded, and this information could be disapproved. So how hard is it to map using MapMaker? I mean, some people think that you need thousands of people or hundreds of thousands of people to map a small town. This is actually not particularly very true. There's a guy in Afghanistan, and he was featured all over the news. One person, okay, he didn't even have any equipment. They had paper and pencil, okay, because they didn't have running internet on the street or anything like that. So what they did, they ran all over their city, and they mapped it in a very short period of time. I think it was like a month or two. Yeah, so it was like a month and a half. He mapped his entire town, just one person with a paper. So probably you cannot see it properly because of the light on the screen. on the left side, there's only two highways. There's just this line and this line. Here, it's highly detailed and mapped with small roads, trails, and lots of different things. The nice thing is that also this data, you can download most of it. So you can use it in other geosystems. So if you use other software, desktop software, or anything like that, there's some data that you can use it for non-profits, governments, and so on. The link is here to know more about what you can download and the conditions that apply to this data. The other thing is, probably you're familiar with Google Maps API, where you can embed a map inside a website. For example, Ayam here in Saudi Arabia uses it. Many websites use it to show you where something is. You can also embed Map Maker using an API. Okay? So there's also an API to allow people to do mapping on your website. Okay, I'm going to show you something called Map Maker Plus. I'm going to launch it, and I'm going to hope that the internet will be nice to me. So now what you can see, can you guys see all the way in the back? Can you see the, that's fine? Yes. So now here what you can see is what other people around the world are mapping right now. Okay, so in the upper part it shows you where this is in the world. In the lower part it shows you what this person is doing. So for example, this person I think mapped a point of interest. This guy mapped a road. Okay, that was probably missing. Another small road that was missing. Sometimes you see like people mapping parks, pools. This guy is probably spamming. Okay. Okay. Sometimes you see people. You know what's really popular? People mapping golf courses, right? You map the entire golf course, and you can use GPS to locate certain holes. You can do all the green areas, the water. Yeah. Okay. So MapMaker Plus is this tool which shows you everything that's going around in the community. Okay. I'm going to show you a video of how Google Maps helped. I'll let the video speak for itself. If it loads, of course.
And Kathy rang our door in Flint to say goodbye to her.
Okay, network.
Up on here, we got a foot on that, and she got up on this corner of the patio roof here. We actually said goodbye to ourselves and kissed the grandsons goodbye, and Kathy rang our daughter in Brisbane to say goodbye to her. She said, "No, Mum, hang on, I'll get help."
The call came in from the police network to say that we need you in Grantham really urgently. There was a massive amount of calls, so we knew something big had happened, but we just were never prepared for how big it was going to be. It was an absolute shock to us to see this massive tsunami smashing this small country town to pieces. The police had given us an address, And unfortunately, with our flight management system, we can't actually load a street address. You have to have a latitude and longitude. We had a paper map in the aircraft, and we could see the street on the paper map. But the ground was totally covered with water in areas, so it gave us no clue to where we had to go. My crewman, Rob Morgan, remembered that he had Google Maps on his phone. So he searched the address, and it came up with where we were and a line to the destination address. So I could just fly the helicopter following the line on the map, and we could get to the property.
What was it like to first see where descend upon you guys?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, just to know we're going to be safe again and see the rest of the family.
You know, people that we save go on to perhaps have families, invent things, do things that could have a massive effect. I start to think about the future, and if they haven't been plucked out of the water, that maybe the world's history could be changed.
This is the photo of the first map location. I think it was in here, London. Yeah. Yeah. So it's black and white because there were no colors when they did it. I'm just kidding. This is actually not using map maker. So this was after the black and white. Okay. So Google Maps it enables you to do many things. So who here uses Map Maker first? Okay, great. Who ever published an edit? Okay, those are more than the people that use it. Okay. My Maps. Does anybody here use My Maps?
Yeah, that's the Google Maps that you can really check on your phone.
Okay, then we'll show you also My Maps because it's really amazing. It helped me in many different ways. Who here is a developer and uses Maps API? Okay, amazing. Okay, great. Okay, so let me tell you very briefly the difference between the three parts. Okay, Map Maker, My Maps, and Maps API. Is a tool to modify the base mapping information and points of interest and other things for you and for the rest of the world, right? So if there's a mistake in a road or something like that, this is what you want to use, and it's user-friendly, it's very easy to use, and it gets reviewed by many people, and we can most likely guarantee that this information is high quality. The second part, My Maps, is things that are important to you. So let's say something that is very important for somebody living in Jeddah to map all al-Bayt restaurants, right? So if you want to map all of these, big different branches, and you want to show you don't want to miss one, okay, and you want to know how to get from one to the other within a day to, make to make sort of a mission to. Go from one place to the other. You can do whatever you want, right? You can. So, for example, I was in Barcelona and I wanted to do a certain tour. So instead of trying to remember and where to go and so on, I drew lines on a map. Okay, and I said I want to go from this place to this place, and I want to walk from this place to this place. I want to take a bus from this place to the other place, and so on. So it really helped me a lot. So I can load it on my phone, and I'm the only person who sees this map. This is a private map for my trip to Barcelona, for example. Other people, they can plan. Let's say let's say you want to go to the desert to put your car on two wheels and drive in a certain way, and you have a certain path you want to do, and then stop in the middle of the desert and put a spot where you want to do what do you call it, zerb or mafun, okay? And so let's say you can map all of these things on a map, and you can make sure you're going on that trail. And this is stuff where you don't want anybody else to eat with you your mafun. So this is what My Maps is. It's something that is private view, or even you can make it public. So for example, one person, I live in Zurich, mapped all the recycling points, okay, in Zurich. Okay, Maps API is a tool to embed maps in your website and program on top of it. Okay, so there I saw like 4 or 5 hands of people who used Maps API. Can you please share with us why you used it, how you used it, where you used it, or you were just raising your hands to?
We use Google Maps for the company that will we add some applications that allow us to know how, for example, the coverage area for our company, that is there coverage area or not, or there is a signal for our services.
Great. So you work for a telecom company?
It's for it.
Okay, that's wonderful. So is this used internally or is it available for? Available for. Okay, that's wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, that's really good. Other examples of people using Google Maps API?
I think for the branches of our company, we copied the location to each branch and we put it on our website. So it shows like small square showing the exact location.
Nice. Okay, so also Qayyim uses something very similar, where all the restaurants and other places are, you can see a small map. I think I have it somewhere here, of how they use it. Other examples?
I'm planning to use it, but is there a manual for it on the site? Because I looked for it online and found a couple of people. What's that about it?
Yes, actually, if you want more information about Maps API, one of my colleagues, she's an expert on Maps API. Her name is Anna Chernova. Yeah, so she can. So the short answer, yes, there's a full documented developers API for it, and also regardless of the language you use, let's say PHP, ASP, or Java, we have toolkits or like SDKs or whatever is in that language that you can use. And I'm 100% sure in whatever language you use, you will find hundreds or even thousands of examples of how people use it. So that would also help you, see the basics of embedding things and so on. And so it is fully documented. Other.
Use it to receive a complaint from a citizen.
So they tell you where they are?
No, they tell what is the problem they have with the location.
That's very nice.
خدمتها بشكل شخصي البيت عمل تقارب حددها مكتوب على الخريطة فبيسهل عمل الدايركشن يعني.
But I think for this case, I think using My Maps is even easier. Yeah, it's easier than MapMaker because you don't need to program My Maps. You just draw it and say I want to go from here to here. It's easier than.
يا خرائط شخصية مش public.
Yeah, exactly. You can use My Maps and you can create a private map. I can also show you that. Other things? Okay. Yeah.
I have an experience with this. One day I lost my iPad and I could locate its position using Google Maps. And with the police, they caught someone who robbed my iPad during the location and the coordinate from the Google Maps.
And you managed to find it?
Yes, this is.
Okay. Okay, that's amazing. Okay, we didn't get any gifts and we got it right. Okay, that's a very nice story. Okay.
Yes, you can find it in the YouTube.
Sorry?
You can find the whole story in the YouTube.
Really?
Yes, with the all maps and places where it were going from side to another.
Okay, that's amazing. Would you mind if you can send us the link after the presentation? I can give you my email. I'd love to know more about it.
Okay, we'll love it.
Thank you. Other interesting stories? Okay. Okay. So, one of the most important usages of maps is in humanitarian relief and in places where there's crisis. Actually, one of the first things that NGOs or whatever the rescue mission that is trying to do is to map that place so that they can do a better job. It's really very difficult to do any proper job to find people if you don't have a map. So this is an example of Cyclone Nergis. Are you familiar with it? It was in Southeast Asia. So it was one of those terrible cyclones, and if you can see here, in this part, the map was empty. There's absolutely nothing. It's brown, just like a Rub al-Khali. Okay. Then, when this cyclone happened, okay, the global community and people living there, in a week's time, they transformed it into this. Okay. This is a highly detailed mapped version of this map, and then they used my maps, okay, to put dots on the map of things that were interesting to them, right? Like, for example, there is a problem here, there is a rescue here. And this is a very nice visualization, okay, of whatever you want to do, right? It could be anything that you want. Yes. Yes, you will see it actually in the presentation. So, okay. It's stored in the cloud, so we store it. If it was stored on your device, if you go to another device, you will not find it, right? And this is not a very good user experience. So the way my maps works is that it's stored like email or anything. But regarding privacy, in Europe and the States, there's a bit of a high standard for privacy laws, and Google even goes beyond the legal requirements, meaning that there's something that we are by law required to do, and we even take it a step up. So we have also extra guidelines on how we store information. So no one can really look at what you're saving and so on. This is by law, by the way, and it's even a little bit higher. So what this means is that most of the information, or all the information that is private to you, is encrypted, so we cannot even see it. Okay. Google SketchUp. So anybody familiar with Google SketchUp? Okay. Good. Have you used it to build any models on Google SketchUp? Yeah? Can you tell us, please?
We used to work with jobs, University of Science and Technology. We have solar energy testing site. I used one of the plugins from 1001 Shadows. It helped me in creating systems next to each other without having shading on the others.
Okay, great. Okay. Yeah, so Google SketchUp, for those who don't know it, is a 3D modeling software, but it's very simple. So it was a company that we acquired, the main reason that we have SketchUp is that it allows you to build beautiful 3D models without having a lot of, let's say, 3D knowledge. You don't have to be an expert. So it's very easy to learn, very easy to do models. Even like, I have friends who model their, let's say, living room. They want to get a piece of furniture. They want to see if it's going to look nice or not. So anybody can learn it in probably a few hours or a day, rather than like other 3D software, which are, of course, maybe more powerful, but also require a lot more time to learn. So the main, let's say, use case for this in Google is people doing 3D models of buildings in their cities. Let me show you an example, okay, of something that we have launched very, very, very recently. This is actually more than maybe 5 new features launched altogether that allows us to do something very nice. First, less than a year ago, or actually a little bit over a year ago, we launched Google Maps, the Saudi version. So if you go to maps.google.sa, So what I want to do is الحصول على الاتجاهات. Okay, from let's say Dubai to Jeddah. A very adventurous trip. Okay, so there's about 2 or 3 things that are recent. First, maps.google.com.sa. This is new. Driving directions is new in Saudi Arabia. It was launched very recently. And now what I'm going to show you is 3D driving directions. Have you seen this before?
Yes.
Yes?
Just now.
Ah, really? Okay. Okay, so if you've seen it, then it will not look very impressive. So the thing is, the internet connection is a bit slow. What you're going to see, did you see it in the main?
Yes, yes.
Okay, did you see the 3D buildings? Okay, okay. So those were done using SketchUp. So anyway, if you
get voice direction as well.
So voice directions are launched in many places around the world. It's still not available in Middle East and North Africa. I'm working on this, and inshallah it will be very, very, very soon. So you can use your Android to navigate between 2 different places. So inshallah, it will come very soon.
One other question.
Yes.
You're focusing like on localizing Google to Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
I noticed all the menus, I'm going to say all of them, have the menus are for Arabic. I know you have people living in Saudi Arabia that don't speak Arabic, they don't read Arabic. I wish if Google would somehow put a little link for
Sure.
English.
Absolutely. So actually, maps.google.com.sa is available in both Arabic and English. Yes. So if you go to, actually, this is something I launched about 2 months ago. So Saudi Arabia was only available in Arabic, and I did a bit of analysis, and there was a high volume of English queries coming. So it made sense that we also make it available in English. Okay. So maybe no. So in different countries around the world, we see what people are using, right? So I think if in Dubai we even have Farsi, and so we see what people are using in different countries. Switzerland is not English is not an official language, but we still have it because there's a big expat community that speaks English. Thank you for your comment. It's very, but actually it wasn't available maybe a little bit more than a year ago. What you could have always gone to google.com.
That's what I usually do, but then I'm not localized. I mean, I don't,
Okay. Okay. So that was SketchUp, which you've seen in the morning. You know, the internet connection is not being nice to me. So this is what SketchUp is. So, this is another example of my maps being used to help in crisis situations. Again, you can see a very useful map which you can zoom in, and you can see where you need to focus your efforts. Okay, this is in Jeddah. Okay, do you want to speak about this because you?
This is exactly what we spoke about in Plan in 2011. The affected area is right here, but it's not too clear. It's this, and it's undermapped. You really don't know what you're actually looking at. Okay, though from the satellite view, I can see that there are many roads here connecting. Okay, in fact, if you knew what exactly the roads were, you knew where the drainages were connected, linked, you wouldn't have the flood there in the first place. You already had all that Jeddah had was a paper map, and if Google had done what you saw in the earlier slides, that actually happened in the Philippines, and they could actually connect the drains and they could redrain the entire area in about 2.5 days. But here, I guess, this persisted for quite some time. Okay, and that's all because this entire area was undermapped. But no fault of yours. Mapmaker wasn't open in Jeddah. Now it's all open, and this is what we were looking at then. Okay, now this is that Medina road that you have. So it's exactly the same road, and the entire thing underwater is what we see here. It's actually more, it's miserable than this. I've taken a better shot because this is the most clearest that I had. And you will see a little bit in Saudi. This is Jeddah. I mean, Jeddah is supposed to be a city, one of your predominant cities, and this is the state. So, yes, I just Umar complete his presentation.
Okay. Maps API, as I mentioned, Khayyam is using it. So, in knowledge, which my cousin highly recommended that I should get Madfoon and the Rosby shower, which I have no clue what it means. But he told me you should have it. He comes back to Jordan sometimes with 3 of the knowledge meals, and I've always wondered why he does that. So I need to try it before I go home.
It's a bake.
Huh?
For me, it's a bake. You have to try bake.
Al-Bake? Okay, so if I, yeah, so maybe I could do early dinner in Al-Bake and maybe late dinner in the knowledge. Knowledge is not in Jeddah. Okay. So you have also a food rivalry between Jeddah and Riyadh. Okay, great. Okay, then we'll do Al-Bake. I heard that Al-Bake is also opening in Riyadh, and this is big news for everybody who lives in Saudi, especially in Riyadh. Okay. This is an example of maps in developed countries. There are so many details that unfortunately will be very difficult to show you on this screen. You can see 3D buildings, models, you can see parks, water, you see the water, you see everything. So this is what we aspire for all around the world. This is, are you familiar with Street View? Yes. So this is Street View. It really helped me a lot. You know, sometimes I thought it's so fun, you know, to look at weird people in the street and see the weird things they're doing and things like that. And you know, this is how I was thinking when I was in Jordan. Like, I mean, you know, and then it proved actually to be very useful. It helped me a lot. One time I was going to the Jordanian embassy, and it was in a different city, and I had the address, but I didn't. This is just when I moved to Switzerland. I didn't have internet on my mobile. So I knew the name of the street, but I didn't know exactly how the building looks like, where is the entrance, and so on. So I navigated the address when I was home. I looked at the entire neighborhood. I knew kind of how it's going to look like. And then when I went, I saw, yeah, this is the building that I should be going to, and it really, really helped me. Sometimes people use it for, it's very important for, let's say you want to go to apartment, rent an apartment like this, so you can see how the neighborhood looks like. Many people use it in many different ways. Sometimes you want to see if there's a parking around this area, you want to see where to go, like the width of the street, many things. So, no, not yet, not yet.
I heard that we did the photo shoot in cities,
Okay, I don't think this is correct. I don't think this is correct.
We see one photo on internet, one of your cars taking a photo.
Okay, maybe
that's not correct.
There's nothing that we've announced so far. Maybe somebody was doing you know, like a Halloween version, just you know, fooling people, putting you know, fake equipment and saying it's Google. I don't know. I mean, there's nothing that we have announced yet. So. Of course. The thing is, doing Street View requires a lot of work, and you need government level permissions. There are so many things that you need to do. So as much as we'd like to take it all around the world, it takes time. So we're trying to expand as fast as we can. So far, we don't have Street View in any Arab country, but we have a program called Special Collects. So Special Collects is we do Street View in small areas. So for example, there are museums in Iraq that are mapped, and we have so many different types of equipment. We have cars, which is probably the most popular one. We have also bicycles, so people are going on bicycles. We also have snowmobiles for places where we're doing Street View for skiing slopes. We have also people walking, so if you're in a museum, you want to walk or you want to just, you know, get a trolley, it would be a bit weird if you run into a museum with a car. So yeah, so there's many ways that we do street view. Okay, this is another example of, these are indoor maps. Indoor maps, I think also they were demoed this morning. Did you get to see it? Yeah, you can see different levels, you can see the malls. I think this is actually very important in Gulf countries because there are so many big malls and it would be very useful to see if you can contribute places that you like to indoor maps. This is a place page. This is also available here, but maybe not with most of it is not as rich information. This is one of the examples of one of the places. You can see a lot of information when you click on this place, restaurant, cafe, whatever, and you can even do hotel booking right from this page. Okay. Public alerts is another example of thing that we have for, it's one of the .org projects, the non-profit ones, and it shows you the things that are happening around the world. Okay, these are more examples of things in different parts of the world. Okay. So our belief is that no one knows Jeddah like you, right? Okay, definitely Google doesn't know Jeddah better than you. So if you help us map Jeddah, we will have the best maps in the world. That is hopefully the idea here. Okay.
Inside the districts.
Sorry.
Inside the different districts. So how do you map it?
How do we?
How the user would help them reach the map?
We will show you a live demo of how you can add streets and so on. Okay. So, as you can see, we still have a very long way to go in different parts inside. It's getting so much better since we launched MapMaker. It hasn't been a very long time, but of course there's still a lot of way to go. Sorry.
Do you have enough places?
Saudi, yeah, we do, but I mean, not every. Yeah, not every place. Okay, this is something called time lapse. Okay, it shows you a some place in India, how it was completely empty, and over I think 2 years, this was around 2 years, that how it transformed, okay, and how the map got better.
It's one of the best mapping towns in the world. You can never go wrong with Madurai. It's a village mix, not even a town. It's a town, village mix in India. Just see what happened over the past 6 years. Just look at the dates also down.
Okay, we can start. So you know, this is really democratization. It's giving maybe poorer areas around the world the chance to beat New York in the quality of their maps. All right, that's my Facebook. Okay, so we do a lot of events around mapping, and we really hope that we're going to have something very soon in probably Dubai. I'm not entirely sure yet, to get all the mappers from MENA, North Arabi, to see, you know, to build and the community more and more. And the thing is, we're always looking for advocates, we're always looking for people who are extremely passionate about mapping. And when you're a community who's the Saudi advocate, map maker advocate here? Okay. Okay, great. Do you want to tell us more about what it means to be an advocate?
Oh, you mean this man?
Yeah. I also have the old map maker t-shirt. Okay. Okay, so we can give you 10, 15. So, okay, so he wants to share a lot of news with you, so he'll prefer to do it in a bit once we're done. Okay, so we do a lot of events, something called map-ups, conferences. There's so many different things, and we hope we can do a lot more in Saudi and other countries around. Okay, it's an amazing community, as you can see. Okay, and this is one of the Google Map Maker parties in Lahore, and let me show you.
Last week, the Google MapMaker community and Fast NU's Association for Computing Machinery hosted a Google mapping party at the Fast NU's main auditorium in Lahore. Prominent figures such as Google's Badr Kushnus were present.
So Google Earth is just satellite imagery. It's like taking a photograph from a camera in a satellite. Google Maps is a layer above it, which are hand-drawn roads and streets. So Google Mapping is about putting your world online.
The benefits of Google Maps were discussed, such as how it can be used for directions, traffic management, as well as relief management. Several industrial benefits were also brought to notice, such as mapping franchises and hence seeing the density of distribution, nearest outlets, and so on.
So think of contributing to maps as in terms of contributing your knowledge to the rest of the society and the world. If somebody saves 2 hours a day because of good maps, I think it has an economic value.
However, the main point of the party was to show how average internet users can contribute to the maps and put their neighborhoods online for everyone's benefit.
Why it's useful is because it's open. As you saw today, we talked about people who just took it up as a passion, and you can make edits on the map. You know your mohalla better than anyone else.
Okay, we're almost done with this part, and now we're gonna. So this is just to show you, see the bright parts. It's things that were mapped around the world using MapMaker. Okay, so the presentations will be available on this URL. Now Sachin is gonna show you how to use MapMaker. And any questions so far?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I want to ask you, there's any magic or using the habits of using the map, so for example, how many people use map direction?
Okay, so I mean, as you can imagine, we're a data-driven company. We collect hundreds and thousands of metrics to try to understand how people use things. One of the most prominent things is that since we launched .com.sa, the usage has more than doubled already. So, so this information is available only when we issue a press release. Okay, so we have a layer for traffic where it's available in some countries. I don't believe we have that. So it takes. It has to be done by Google, or we have to find a good data provider that we can license. So it's one of two.
I faced the problem once or twice when I searched for a location and I couldn't, it showed me other locations. But when I went to that location, I zoomed in, I found it. I have to zoom in up to 5 times the amount.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so this is an issue sometimes when so again the problem is when we license data, sometimes things are not written the way it should be. So this is why again we have MapMaker. So if you help us fix these issues, it will be fixed. But for example, let's say Mecca al-Mukarram, there is over 100 ways to write it in English, right? M-E-C-C-A, M-A-K-A-H, M-E, you know. So that makes it very difficult to, you know, like transliteration between that languages is also another problem.
Another point in developed countries when you said, when you look for a location, just write the number on the street, you'll find it. But here, you usually use landmarks to locate something. And can it be written in the directions so it will be more helpful?
You can search for near. So you can write actually something near something and it will find it. So landmarks is somewhat available, but of course it's not as efficient as knowing the actual address. And using MapMaker, you can put numbers and things, but I don't think there's any computer in the world that will understand when I call, let's say, the butcher to get some meat in Jordan, take the third right after you see something, and then about 100 meters. Okay, so try writing the square to Google Maps. I don't think it will work. So that's the difficulty that we have in our world. And in Saudi there was an attempt to do proper addressing. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was called Wasl.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
So because I worked on this a little bit, where we wanted to get the zip codes for Wasl and so on, and we did one refresh to it, and then the problem is that no one uses it. Okay, so that's the problem in developing countries. We don't have proper addressing system. Actually, surprisingly, India is extremely advanced in addressing system, or at least everybody uses it. So when we were doing tests in different issues, you go to a person in India, even if you go to a poor village, you ask them, what is your address? They give you an address, right? They understand this word. We went to Africa, we would ask people, what is your address? They would say, what do you mean? Okay, like, your address, okay, what do you mean? Like, okay, how can I get to your place? Okay, it's on the main road to the right. And the main road is about 10 kilometers. Okay, and I mean, so on the main road to the right doesn't sound like a very good description of where the place is. So that's a problem that is way beyond what we can do, but we're really trying to do that. And unfortunately, I don't think there's a good way to solve it without proper addressing. And I'm quite surprised actually why Wasl didn't work. Maybe it was too complicated.
No. You said you worked with Wasl, so did you get the data from them, or did you build it in Google Maps?
So the thing is, what Wasl provides you with is the addressing system, right? It's not the actual addresses. It's the zip coding system. So the thing is, even if we have that, and people don't use it this way, it's useless.
Yeah.
So the thing is, the zip coding system, I think it consists of like 3 or 4 different numbers. I forgot what it exactly was, but we looked into it very, very deeply, and we have a big part of it, but the other part is very complicated to do, and no one was using it. So it wasn't worth, I think, pursuing it.
You mentioned that nobody used this Wasl.
Yeah.
But why didn't you say nobody aware about Wasl, or maybe there's communications problem?
Oh sure, yeah, but this is not Google's issue. Yeah. No, I don't know what the situation is. I was asking, so I'm also as.
The reason Wasl failed is Saudi Post wanted people to pay to have an address, which is ridiculous. I would not do it.
Okay.
And that's the bottom line.
So you have to pay to get an address?
Why should we
Excuse me?
It's basic right.
It's free. You can just ask for Russell. They will put books in your house. You will get the address without any charge.
But they get limited service.
Very limited service. And the initial thought was you have to pay annual subscription. Why should I? It's basic citizen rights. It's not a right, it's a privilege. It's part of you.
Okay. So it's good. It's great to hear different point of views. Thank you. So anyway, so that's the answer to landmark. Do you want to ask something? Or you didn't ask? Okay. Two last questions, please, and then we're gonna leave the room to Sachin to show us map maker hands-on.
It's just a suggestion. I think starting with the landmarks and social media would be a good idea. For example, I've been using Guana service for Facebook shutting down, and it has been very helpful. I would go to the spot and then go to Google Maps and then go to use the direction. So I think landmarks would work in this area, and then we can apply that.
By the way, you can still use that on Google Maps, right? So you can still
get find a specific spot. Yeah. So I would go. I can use the services, of course, but not within Google Maps. So I don't know if they can import all the spots from a certain app to Google Maps and then just keep using.
So we definitely don't have all the places in Saudi, but we have a lot. But still, if there's something missing, you can add it using Map Maker. The thing is, with landmark navigation, we're trying to. So we're somewhere there. But
so I mean, we can start with landmarks and then just edit the address once we have a specific address.
I think in our part of the world, it's really shameful that we don't have proper addresses. I mean, it sounds in my brain to be very simple, just a street name and the number, and everybody uses it, and that's really about it. It was really weird when I got to Switzerland, and I put my address, and I received something, without somebody calling me from Aramex. Whoa, this is a this is a revelation, right? In Jordan, we used to put your address, the number, all this information, and then the guy would call you, where are you? I do you have my address? What did you